Lauren. I'm here today to tell you a story. Today's story is The Smartest Giant in Town. This is one of our favourites here at Jabberwocky. So here we go, are you ready? Get all comfy and cosy with your blankets and pillows. George was a giant. He was the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. "Oh, I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town," he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, a smart pair of socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. "Now I'm the smartest giant in town," he said proudly. Oh, he looks much happier now. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe, a really tall giraffe. Look, he's as tall as George. He was sniffing sadly. "Oh, what's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." George started to think. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, as he wound it around and around the giraffe's neck. "It made a wonderful scarf." "Thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a giraffe, but look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "Meh!" "Oh, what's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." George started to think again. Do you think George can help him? "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold draft. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "Oh, what's the matter?" said George. "It's our house," squeaked the mother mouse. "It burned down and now we've got nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." How do you think George could help the mice? Shall we have a look? "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and her babies all scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold draft. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." He's still smiling. George is still happy. George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "Oh, what's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I really wish I had somewhere warm and dry to sleep." Oh, the fox is upset. How do you think George could help the fox? "Oh, Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his socks with the diamonds up the side. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. Oh, look, he looks so snuggly and warm. It made a very fine sleeping bag. Thank you, said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold draught. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for some little white mice. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. Ho, ho, ho. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. Oh no, I wish there was a safe, dry path, he said. Look, George is thinking again. How can I help? He was thinking. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But can you remember what happens next? My trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Oh no, look, you can see George's underpants. Suddenly George felt very sad and shivery, not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes. He decided. He turned around and hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got there, the shop was closed. Oh no, said George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt sad as all the animals he had met on his way. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he spotted the bag with something familiar poking out of it. George took a closer look. My gown, he yelled. My dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced all the way back home along the road. George is feeling super happy again. Outside his front door stood all of the animals that he had helped. They were carrying a ginormous present. Come on, George, they said. Come and open it. George opened the ribbon. Inside was beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and he opened the card. Inside it said, Your tie is a scarf for a cold draught. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for the little white mouse. But one of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. Wow, lucky George. And that is the end of our story. See if you can remember all the different ways that George helped the animals, and remember to help your friends whenever you can. Thank you for listening. Bye.